Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday Namaste session. Great to have you here. We are going to have a very unique and different kind of week. Let me tell you what that means, because we're gonna set aside the daily word for this week, and we're going to go in a different direction. What I want us to feel or to receive are different examples or ways of understanding this experience that we talk about here almost every day. We say this is not about getting it intellectually, it's about having an experience where it's that 12-inch journey from the mind to the heart. The difference between believing something or having faith in something and knowing it. Certainty. That's I think the best word for it. Certainty, to be certain that this is true, as opposed to just having faith, believing something, which is very weak. Faith and belief can change, but when you know something, you can't really quite explain it. You just know it. And so this is the experience that we're here to share. And sometimes it's nice to have other ways of seeing this so that we can put it outside of ourselves, see it through the example of another lens, and then relate that lens and that experience to our own life. So that's the goal this week. And the way that we're going to do that is by watching some clips from a few movies. Every day, we're going to share a different clip, and we're going to use that as a way of understanding this awakening at a different level. So today's clip, I won't tell you what it's from yet, but there comes a moment in this opening, this awakening, where you suddenly something clicks into place, and you suddenly realize that the world you thought you were in or experiencing is not what you thought it was. It's different. And that's what we're going to see today. So I'm going to show you a clip, and then we'll talk about it. Many of you have probably seen this movie before, but enjoy. Hold on, let me put it up on the screen.
Don't forget to buckle up out there in Radio Land. Good driver. Good. Driver. Good driver. Good. He's heading west on Stewart. Stand by all engines. Loyal to behind you in about 90 seconds. Promise make sure the coffee's hot. Okay, he's making his turn on the Lancaster Square. Ouch. Sorry about that, folks. I guess we picked up a police frequency or something. It sometimes happens, and it can drive you crazy. Okay, it's classical climb back in here, and we've still got some great music up ahead. But hey, we have to buckle up. Remember safety. Good driver is a safe driver. Safe driver is what? Yes. Can I help? Oh, yeah, I have an appointment at Gateway Disney Plus. Truman, what are you doing here? It's a bad time, okay? I'm behind. I'm onto something big. You okay? You look like shit. I think I'm mixed up in something. Mixed up in what? There's no point trying to explain it. There are a lot of strange things that have been happening. People on the elevator. There was no backing on it. I looked out. There was people there, and on the radio, on the way to work, it started to like follow me around, just talking about everything that I'm doing. You know what I mean? Remember that this is one of your fantasies. I think this is about my dad. Your dad? I think he's alive. Yeah. I'll tell you about it later. Definitely being followed. It's hard to tell. They look just like regular people. How about those two? I don't know. To me, it's one of the unpredictable lets of everyday kids. You know. Anything happen? We gotta get out of here. You ready to go? No, just kidding. Come on. I hold that camera. You get both of us inspired, you know that. Okay, man, let's do it. What? Whatever you say, I'm game. What are you talking about? Yes, sirree. Your birthday comes but once a year.
Okay. So, let's talk about the Truman Show. One moment. Most of you have probably seen this movie before, but did you make the connection between what is happening in Truman's bubble and what is always happening inside yours? We like to think, oh, this is, it's a story about a man who from the time he was a baby was raised inside this fake world where everyone is there for him. Everyone is an actor playing a role so that Truman won't realize what's really happening. And so he's lived his entire life thinking that this is the real world, thinking that these are real friendships, that his wife is a real wife. When it turns out she's not and none of them are. But now he's beginning to put it together. He's beginning to see things that he didn't see before and realize things. I love when he goes into the elevator and suddenly he's seeing the backstage. He sees the little craft services table and Just imagine the shock when suddenly the backdrop falls away and you see through what you thought was the world to the backstage part of it. Of course, they have to get him out of there. It was very unexpected. I love the role of those security guards who, when he walks into the building where he's not supposed to be, they have to go into emergency road to make sure that the illusion holds together. The last thing they can allow is for him to be able to see what's really happening. And when he gets the glimpse, it's all that he needs. When he sees just for a moment what's going on behind the scenes, that's all it takes. Now that seed has been planted in his mind. The elevator wall wasn't there. He saw behind what was supposed to be seen. That's the experience. That's the moment or the seed that comes into our mind where we realize that we live in a bubble that has conspired to keep us asleep. Why? Doesn't really matter. We could theorize why we could talk about guilt, we could talk about forgiveness, we could talk about all these things, but the truth is it doesn't really matter. Only that we have that experience where we look into the elevator and we see that the walls have disappeared. It's not the world we thought it was. And from this point on in the movie, Truman is not as oblivious as he has been his entire life. His world has been shaken. And now he is willing to look at things in a new way. And everything's going to start to fall apart. Before, the idyllic scene of this little town with all the nice, preppy people all walking, riding their bikes, and when he comes with the bus and he holds the bus and the cars back, he's beginning to feel his own power now. When he holds the bus back, he's beginning to sense that he is more powerful than this world. Have you ever felt that? Where the power inside you, the light inside you can shine right through this world? This is when the experience begins to dawn. And we've talked about this from many different angles. One of the ways that we've talked about it, and something that many of us have experienced, is that our thoughts do not hold together with quite the same ferocity as they once did. Our minds become like sieves. How many of you can say you've had that? I just don't hold thoughts. I just can't hold it together. That's a sign of the awakening. It means that the space between your thoughts is loosening. It's getting bigger. And that is the space between the thoughts where you can slip now. Just like Truman is slipping between those cracks in the bubble or the set for this TV show that he's in. He doesn't realize it. Literally, since the time he was born, he has been in a 24-hour-a-day television show. And people have been watching him grow up and become an adult and get married and have a job. And all the while, he was completely oblivious to this. And now suddenly, his eyes are open. Are your eyes open? Is this just a fun movie? It is a great movie. I love The Truman Show. But if we take this as a metaphor planted by you, this could literally be the back of the elevator disappearing. This movie. Or anything else that happens today could be the crack in the veil that shows you that the world you thought you saw is not the real world, but literally a bubble of experience to block the experience with a capital E. But you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be sitting here with us on Zoom or any of it if you were not ready to see that wall that you thought was supposed to be an elevator disappear, and now suddenly you're backstage. And of course, they have to fill that in as quick as possible. All the actors have to close that wall. The security guards have to grab you and throw you out. But now you've seen. And once you've seen, there's no going back. So what I say is when your mind, when those thoughts begin to loosen and there's more space and you're feeling a bit discombobulated and you don't know what to do, number one, take a deep breath and then slip between. Just slide between those thoughts. Use that moment. Don't resist it, use it. And you're going to find a very similar thing to what Truman experienced. Suddenly you're slipping into the real world, outside the bubble of the world that you thought was real. So this is what we're going to do all week. I have a number of different clips that I've identified, and we're going to use them as we are today as examples of that shift in consciousness. Now, you can, if you choose, watch this or listen to the session and say, okay, whatever. This is still pretty real to me, and so shall it be. It will still seem very real to you if that's your choice. Or you can say, just like he was, you see him looking around for more evidence. He's looking around now, looking for something else. Like it starts off with the radio, or suddenly there's a glitch in his radio, and he hears the walkie-talkie saying he's turning now on so-and-so street. That was the first glitch. And there are glitches here all the time. If you would have eyes to see them or ears to hear them, watch for them, listen for them today. They're there. There will come a moment, if you're like Truman was and just now you're alert, you're going to see something. Sometimes it's like a little shimmer in the light, or you see a wall that you thought was solid and suddenly there's something a little bit different. It's the same thing. So watch for it today. Vicki, I know that you are the type of person who will watch a lot of happy Disney type movies, and this may very well be a movie you've seen. Have you seen The Truman Show before?
Yes, on your recommendation.
So what do you think of all this?
Well, I liked it. And the parallel for us is, God bless Truman. He was beside himself thinking he was set up, what's really going on. It was scary. And for us, if we can let whatever shows up in our world, if it shakes us, it's a trauma, if it's a surprise, instead of taking it so seriously, he was very serious about finding out what was going on. And it's true, we could be very serious, but for me, I've experienced the lighter I take everything with more wonder rather than heavy seriousness, I do not end up in that loop you were describing the other day of thinking from one thing to the other, back and forth, solving things. What does it mean? What should I do with it? Instead, that's where the beginning of spaciousness happens. So say a trauma, sudden sickness, we're looking at that. Sudden move, sudden end of a relationship, sudden death. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, this is terrible, say, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is. Let's find out. Let's look with wonder on it all. So that opening is in everything, but I'm more alert to it in the bigger experiences, perhaps. But I like what you suggested. Let's be alert for it everywhere. When we walk down the street and buy an ice cream cone, when we walk down the street and say hello to someone, let's be alert for the space between what seems to be happening, because all of us know it's not what it appears to be. Regardless of the amounts of experiences we've had in the invisible world, out of time, in Revelation, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We're here now. And if we don't take any of it too seriously, look at it with wonder and welcome, don't go into the loop about what to do with it. We will be led into more spaciousness where that reality of ourselves as spirit steps forth naturally because it's not covered over anymore with the loop of thinking. That's all that covers it, is that thinking loop. So if we can face big situations or little situations with open wonder and welcome, we end up in that space of spirit that is spacious, that guides us, directs us. It's what the Tao, the love, the flow that's behind the set of this ego script that we found ourselves in. So that's what I do with this. Just not, and that's what I'm learning to do, not take any of this stuff seriously, especially the trauma. This one's sick, this one's dying, this one's this, that, the world's falling apart. Oh my, oh me, oh my, what's really happening? Oh, we must be waking up, who knows, let's see. That's a much, I don't know, much safer access to the light, because that's all that is happening. The light is busting through all of us. Thank you, James.
Wonder and welcome. And that brings us right back to amor fati.
Yes.
Just love it. Just fall in love with all of it and treat it gently. Let it gently reveal itself. Like you said, Truman is very serious. Suddenly he realizes there's something going on and he's going to figure it out. But if we just welcome it and see the wonder of it all, that's the gentle path to awakening. Thank you, Vicky. Is Teddy there with you?
I'm downstairs. I think he is. He should be in the room.
Are you in there, Teddy? Good morning.
Good morning. This is really funny. I think one of the reasons why I stopped watching movies is because of the Truman Show. Everything became a movie at that point in time. Like it was just, everything's just this big movie. And Vic and I have this patio on a deck. And we sit out there, and that's what it's like. It's like having a box at the theater, and you're just watching the theater. Like you're just hanging out, sitting in this box, watching everything that's going on from your own box at the theater, It was interesting. We went out to, we were out yesterday down at the beach, and we were coming home, and I got this thing going on with my arms. And, so every once in a while, this question pops into my mind, like, what's really going on? Is this meant? What's happening? So yesterday we were driving home, and I had that thought. And I looked over, and there was a truck passing us. And on the side of the truck, it says, "This truck is dedicated to the honor of Teddy somebody or other." And I had to laugh at my own, the absurdity of the whole thing. So we're driving along, and we're on the highway, and there's these overpasses. I grew up on King Street, so we're driving down the road, and I had the same thought, wow, is this all? And I look up, and the overpass says King Street on it. So I'm sitting there thinking, I never left anywhere. It's like we go nowhere. We're just here. We absolutely go nowhere. It feels like we're going somewhere, but we never leave home. We just don't ever leave home, no matter what it seems like. So it's just sort of an interesting topic because that's what it's felt like lately. We're just watching a movie. And whatever the hell's in the movie, at the end, the movie's over and everybody's back to being who they were. That's really the way it really is. That's all I can say.
Speaking of movies, I'm sure we've all had this experience where you're watching a very dramatic movie. Maybe it's a big adventure film or a deep drama, and there's that moment when you're sitting there where you forget about you, and you are in that movie. You're feeling the emotions. You're getting really into it, right? And you may even, with maybe a scary film, need to remind yourself, dude, it's just a movie, relax. You don't need to get frightened and all freaked out, thinking that you're in it, thinking that you're the character. If you've ever had that experience, that's very similar to what we're describing here. You're watching something play out. Something is being played out in front of you. It's your choice whether you want to become really emotionally attached to that, involved in that, or to take the first step in the what we could call the process of awakening, even though there's no real process involved. But the first step would be to just take a deep breath and realize, I don't need to get pulled into this. I'm not required to be attached to this drama. I can step back, take a deep breath, and just be here, be present to this moment. Amor fati. I can just love it as it is right now in this moment. So if you've ever had that experience, that's very similar to what Truman is experiencing, to what we experience every day. It's just a stepping back, a taking a breath, coming back to ourselves and being at peace. That's it. How's that sound? Nice way of seeing that. And today, see if you can find those little cracks. See if you can find those moments when you realize you've been sucked in, just like you would in a dramatic movie. You're feeling too much. Oh, look who's here. Everybody turn around. For those of you who can't see, Azuri just got back. Azuri's been gone for a few weeks, recovering, but now she's fully recovered. Good to see you. Okay. When Azuri's back, that means we have said enough. I can stop talking now. But let's see if we can find those cracks where the wall of the elevator suddenly slides away and you're able to see deeper than you were before and realize, no, this is not what I thought it was. There's something else going on here. Okay. So that's our lesson. We're going to do this all week. We're going to watch a few other clips and just see this from other directions. So it'll be fun. All right. Let's see if we have any prayers to lay upon the altar this Monday morning. We'll start here with Namaste. And if anyone has anything that they want to place on the altar, you'll say it out loud. But while that's happening, anyone here in the Zoom room, if you have anything that you would like to pray with or for, go ahead and type that into the chat. But let's take a deep breath first. Maybe we can begin with a prayer of gratitude that our dear beloved Azuri is here with us and fully recovered. And we pray also for all of those who are dealing with whatever level of seeming sickness, all of the illusions that cling to us, but which we can choose to cling to or not. But we feel gratitude for that moment of release, where we let it all go and come back to that place of perfect healing. So we pray in gratitude for Azuri. We pray in gratitude for all of us in our own lives, for our own loved ones, that this healing now be complete. And so it is. Anyone here at Namaste want to? Yes.
I'd like to place on the altar Jacobo and Gilberto.
Jacobo and Alberto.
They're our neighbors. They both passed away within a week of each other, a father and a son. You'll see another thing going on.
Right over here, yeah.
Right here, we saw one last week.
So what are their names again? Jacobo and Gilberto are two of our neighbors who apparently have shifted gears into the next world.
Unexpectedly in the families, and the neighborhood is is devastated about this.
Okay, so praying for a family here in our neighborhood of Namaste who is working through the loss of their loved ones. Thank you. We lay that upon the altar. Anyone else? Okay, let's look in the chat room. Okay, so Paulina is praying for her son Mark for his recovery. We see that that recovery is whole and complete. We have prayers from Paulina also for Veronica and for her peaceful passing. Judy is praying for Jim and Brenda and John, that they all be healed in good health. Linda is placing her sister Chris on the altar, knowing that she is working through everything that she needs to and that she is healed now. Mary is expressing gratitude for clarity regarding her son Davis. And Alice is praying for her friend Mark to find a place to live as soon as possible. And of course, we are continuing to pray for our dear friend John Mundy and his full recovery, back to strength so he can continue his journey with us. Joyce is praying for her friend Debbie and for all of her current challenges. And Debbie is praying to have the will to go on, the will to see through all of this. Kaldeve is offering prayers for Rosemary, whose inoperable aggressive brain tumor is being well treated by a good clinical study. We pray for her. And George is praying for his sister Christine, who has Alzheimer's, but still remembers George, but the memory only lasts for about 10 minutes at a time. So we pray for Christine now. And Storm is praying for a new, improved physical support system. So we lay all of these prayers upon the altar, knowing that they have been heard before we have even asked, that the healing has already occurred, and now we need but accept it for ourselves and for everyone. And so it is. So, great way to begin our week. Thanks, everyone. We're going to go ahead and pray our final prayer here, the prayer of protection. So let me put that up on the screen. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is.
Namaste.
Thanks, everyone. So watch for those cracks in the elevators today.
Thank
See you
you.
there.
Thank you. Thank
Love ya.
you.
Thank you.